Hello friends, welcome to Wow IS. This is the second part of the June 2023 current affairs in which we are going to cover the second part of economics. And this is in under our initiative in which we are providing you crisp summaries of the Vision Monthly magazine for the year 2024. It is available at 599 rupees only. You can access the PDF only after payment of the fees, and then you will get all the PDFs of the corresponding months. Now let's start with today's article first of all. The first article for the day is Semiconductor Industry in India. A scheme known as Modified Semicon India Program is covered under this article. METI, that is Ministry of IT and Information Technology, it has launched the Semicon India program for the development of sustainable semiconductor and display ecosystem in 2021. The basic objective was to provide attractive incentive support to the companies and consortia that are engaged in silicon semiconductor fabs, display fabs, compound semiconductors, semiconductor designs, etc. Now, the tenure was 6 years, and the nodal agency is MITRI for this India Semiconductor Mission, and it is under the Digital India Corporation. There are four schemes under the Modified Semicon India program. The first one is Modified Scheme for Setting Up of Semiconductor Fabs in India. So it is basically with the wafer fabrication facilities. Second is Modified Scheme for Setting of Display Fabs in India. The objective is to invest to attract large investments in setting up of display fabrication facilities. Third one is Modified Scheme for Setting Up of Compound Semiconductors, Silicon Photonic Sensor Fabs, Discrete Semiconductor Fabs, and Semiconductor ATMP OSAT facilities in India. And lastly, to attract investments for setting up different semiconductor fabrication facilities. Then design linked incentive scheme. So these are the four schemes that are covered under this Modified Silicon India program. The objective is very simple: to attract 100 to nurture 100 domestic companies of semiconductor design and achieving significant indigenization in the semiconductor and electronic products. Next is India's semiconductor market. It is said that India's semiconductor market will be around $64 billion by 2026, showing a 3 times growth from 2019. The semiconductor consumption in India is growing at a rate of 15.1%. And if we talk about chip manufacturing, so India has become a hub for the semiconductor design with nearly 2,000 chips being designed per year. And for the R&D, research and development, it is about 2.5 billion dollars in revenue for India every year. Now, what is the global semiconductor scenario and what can be India's role? Presently, Taiwan is the world leader in manufacturing of microchips, producing over 60% of the world's semiconductors and over 90% of the most advanced one. US-China conflict has also increased the tension for the chip manufacturing. For example, USA has passed the Chips and Science Act, which provides subsidies for manufacturing chips in the country, and formed a Chip for Alliance and imposed additional restrictions on Chinese semiconductor industry. Similarly, China has also responded. It had put curbs on the exports of germanium and gallium, which are the two niche metals that are used for manufacturing of semiconductors. So this becomes important for you, that the question can be, which of the germanium and gallium are used in which industry, or which are critical for which industry. So they are critical for the semiconductor industry. What can be India's role? India can be a player in the critical semiconductor technology field by providing opportunity for companies to diversify their bases from China. So India can provide an alternative. In 2022, India signed the India-US Initiative on Critical and Emerging Technologies (ICETD). Then India launched its India Semiconductor Mission in 2021 and production-linked scheme for the semiconductor industry. The significance of semiconductor industry for India. Market growth. First of all, if we talk about the current value, it is around $2 trillion or 150 lakh crore. The global electronic market is expected to grow significantly given the increasing penetration of emerging technologies. India as a global hub. The National Policy on Electronics 2019 NPE 2019 is to position India as a global hub for electronic system design and manufacturing (ESDM) and create an enabling environment for the industry to compete globally. Strategic significance: India wants to achieve technological leadership in this area of strategic importance, which is also key to the security of the country's critical information infrastructure. What are the challenges or constraints in India? Infrastructural requirement. There are often challenges in meeting the infrastructure requirements such as continuous supply of water, uninterrupted and interrupted electricity, etc. Then an issue of long gestation period. The state of art fab can take up to 5 years before going into full production, but requires full financing and continuous supply of labor during the gestation period. Then there are delays in setting up facilities. Also, there is issue of shortage of the skilled workforce. Now, semiconductor. What are semiconductors? Are the materials which have conductivity between conductors and insulators. They can be pure metals such as silicon or germanium, or compounds such as gallium arsenide or cadmium selenide. Silicon chip is a network of semiconductors, also called integrated circuits or microchips. End-use industries dependent on the semiconductors include mobile devices, telecom equipment, industrial machinery, computing devices, automobiles, etc. Now, next topic is Mission on Advanced and High Impact Research, or MAHIR. This has been launched by Ministry of Power and the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. It has been jointly launched both by them to leverage the emerging technologies in the power sector. 8 areas have been identified for the research. For first one is carbon capture, then green hydrogen for mobility, that is your green hydrogen run vehicles. You can talk about them. It is under the high efficiency fuel cells. Then modifying electric cookers or pans to suit India's cooking methods. Alternatives to lithium ion storage batteries. Geothermal energy. Indigenous cold rolled grain oriented CRGO technology. Then nanotechnology for EV battery. Solid state refrigeration. About Mahir, the key objectives are to identify emerging technologies, areas of future relevance for the energy sector, create a vibrant and innovative ecosystem, and provide a common platform for energy sector stakeholders for various tasks. Also, to support pilot projects of indigenous technologies, facilitate their commercialization, leverage foreign alliances and partnership to accelerate R&D. Next, make our nation among the leading countries in the power systems. Then funding will be through Ministry of Power, Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, and the central public sector enterprises under them, and also central budgetary resources will be allocated for this project. Duration is 5 years, starting from 2023-24 to 2027-28. The structure of the mission: Technical Scoping Committee chaired by the Central Electricity Authority. Then Apex Committee will be chaired by Union Ministry of Power and New and Renewable Energy. It will cover the proposals for outcome linked funding will be invited from companies, organizations across the globe. So it is open for all. Next, selection of the proposal, it will be done through quality cum cost based selection basis. The IPR of the technology developed would be shared by the Government of India and the research agency. So the government will also be a stakeholder in the IPR, or the patent of that technology that has been produced. Then significance, what is the significance of this scheme? It will help in achieving the net zero emission target of ours, will help in meeting growing energy demands, will promote initiatives like Make in India and Startup India, and also will contribute to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals achieving them. Then other initiatives with respect to power sector. First is financial incentive to states for reforms in the power sector. It was through Ministry of Finance, which allowed additional borrowings to the state from 0.25 to 0.5% of their GSDP annually in lieu of the reforms on the power sector. So for power sector, they can take additional borrowing of 0.25 to 0.5%. Then this initiative was announced in the Union Budget of 2021-22 for 4-year period from 2021-22 to 2024-25. Then mandatory reforms for fulfilling the eligibility of the states, progressive assumption of the responsibility of losses of the public sector discoms by the state government. Then transparency in the reporting of the financial affairs of the power sector, timely rendition of the financial and energy accounts and timely audit. Then compliance with the legal and regulatory requirements. Market coupling. Union Ministry of Power has directed the CERC to initiate the process of market coupling of the power exchanges in order to have uniform prices across multiple exchanges. Then, what is market coupling? Market coupling refers to forming a single power trading entity owned by the government. Under it, buy and sell bids from all the power exchanges in the country will be aggregated and matched to discover a uniform power price or market clearing price. At present, MCPs are different in three power exchanges that India has. First one is Indian Energy Exchange Limited (IEX), Power Exchange India Limited (PXIL), Hindustan Power Exchange Limited (HPX). IEX currently enjoys monopoly status with almost 90% share in the electricity market. Then market coupling will pave the way for one nation, one grid, one frequency, one price framework implementing the market-based economic dispatch (MBED) mechanism. The implementation of electricity derivatives in the market. Then guidelines for resource adequacy planning framework. It was issued by Ministry of Power in consultation with the Central Electricity Authority and has been framed under the Rule 16 of the Electricity Amendment Rules of 2022. Key highlights are: it provides a time bound and scientific approach to access the electricity demand for the future and to take advanced action to procure it. The next generation capacities, energy storage, and other flexible resources needed to reliably meet future demand growth at optimal cost will be assessed well in advance. The capacity which the DISCOMs tie up shall be a judicious mix of long or medium and short term contracts to ensure security of supply to their consumers at least cost. The share of the long term contract is suggested to be in the range of 75 to 80%. Medium term contract should be in the range of 10 to 20%, while the rest of the power demand can be met through short term contracts. Over reliance on electricity market is to be avoided. Then Electricity Right of Consumers Amendment Rules 2023. Central Government amended Electricity Right of Consumers Rule 2020, which were notified by the government to provide reliable services and quality electricity to the consumers. Rules seek to ensure that new electricity connections, refunds, and other services are given in time-bound manner. Willful disregard to consumer rights result in levying of penalties on service providers and payment of compensation to the consumers. Ministry of Power has now introduced the Electricity Right of Consumers Amendment Rule 2023 to bring following changes. First is introduction of the time of the day tariff. It means rather than being charged for electricity at the same rate at all times of the day, price for electricity will be vary according to the time of the day. Power tariff to be 20% less during solar hours during duration of 8 hours in a day as specified by the State Electricity Regulatory Commission. 10 to 20% higher during the peak hours. It will enable consumers to reduce electricity bills and will help in power systems to use resources more efficiently. Then amendment made in smart metering provision. Post installation of a smart meter, no penal charges will be imposed on the consumer based on maximum demand recorded by the smart meters for period before installation date. Now next we come to National Electricity Plan (NEP). It has been notified by the Central Electricity Authority for the period 2022 to 2032, that is for next 10 years. As per the Electricity Act of 2003, CEA is required to prepare a NEP in accordance with the National Electricity Policy and notify plan once in 5 years. The first NEP was notified in 2007. Now, how it will transform the power sector in India? First of all, from power deficit to power surplus by addition of over 175 GV of generation capacity in the past 9 years. Then 2.86 crore houses connected with electricity under Saubhagya scheme. Fourth, globally in renewable energy installed capacity with 43% of its total installed capacity from the renewables. 100% village electrification under DDGJY. Then procured price of LED bulbs decreased by almost 90% between 2014 and 19 under the Ujala. Distribution losses of DISCOM reduced from 21.5% to 16.5% under RDSS. The key highlights of NEP. Rising energy demand. India has witnessed electricity demand increased at a CAGR of around 4.1% during the last decade, and it is projected that electricity demand is likely to grow at CAGR of 7.18% for the next 5 years. Installed capacity. Likely installed capacity for the year 2026-27 will be around 610 gigawatts with around 57.4% non-fossil based capacity. Carbon emissions. Average CO2 emission rate from coal-based stations has been on a declining trend. Contribution of renewable energy RE sources. Installed capacity of RE sources is expected to contribute around 35% in the total energy mix by 2026-27 and around 44% by 2031-32. Energy efficiency and conservation. India has achieved a reduction in emission intensity of GDP by 24% over a period of 2005 to 2016 and now committed to reduce emission intensity by 45% in 2030 against the levels of year 2005. Then power generation resources, conventional sources then we have new and renewable energy sources like solar energy, wind energy, then storage sources are required. For example, pumped storage systems, battery energy storage systems, green energy, hydrogen, etc. Then energy storage technologies like flywheel energy storage system, compressed air storage system, hydrogen, etc. If we talk about India's overall installed capacity as on 31st March 2022, so these are the values on which our power sector is based. For example, the maximum power comes from the coal, that is around 51%. Then from gas, this is around 6%. From nuclear energy, hardly 2% comes from the nuclear energy. From diesel, it is almost around 0%. Lignite, it is 2%. Then other sources, it is RES or renewable energy sources, it is 39%. So the major sources for India's electricity are coal and renewable energy, and third one is your gas-based power plants. Then if we talk about the overall renewable energy installed capacity on 31st March, so solar it is 34%, wind is 26%, large hydro projects is around 30%, small hydro is 3%, and biomass is 7%. So majorly hydro, solar and wind constitute the major source of our renewable energy. This is the total renewable energy capacity of India, that is 156 gigawatts. Now, what are the challenges with respect to national electricity policy? First of all, the challenge with the integration of renewable energy sources with the grid. Temporal variability and output uncertainty of solar and wind generation makes the supply uncorrelated with the demand pattern. Then integration with the grid. Large scale addition of renewable energy into the grid will require balancing from other energy sources. Location specificity of solar and wind sources is one of the major planning related challenges. Then challenges in installing RE, operational issues, difficulty in land acquisition issue used for PV panel disposal and resistance from the affected communities. Issue with global supply chains including the supply of critical minerals and higher cost both for material and for finance. Rehabilitation and resettlement is a major issue for hydro projects. Then issues with carbon capture technologies such as high cost, large scale deployment, etc. Technologies for conversion of CO2 to useful products are also very costly. Challenges with smart grid, information privacy and ensuring cyber security. Then another issue is low quality of coal that is available in India. It has a high ash content. For example, if we talk about the imported coal which have a ash content of 10 to 15%, the Indian coal has a ash content of 30 to 50%. So it leads to it decreases the inefficiency as well as increases the pollution and also increases the efforts for reducing the pollution. Now, what are the various initiatives for the growth of power sector? So first of all is competitive federalism. State energy efficiency index will help the states in monitoring their programs, that how much efficient they have got. Then universal electricity under the schemes like Deen Dayal Upadhyay Gram Jyoti Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Sahaj Bijli Har Ghar Yojana, Unnat Jyoti by affordable LEDs for all. Then international cooperation, SAAR SARC framework on the energy cooperation, MOU for BIMSTEC grid interconnections. Energy conservation, enhancing energy efficiency in industries implementation of achieve and trade scheme. Then carbon market. Bureau of Energy Efficiency announced a national carbon market called the India Carbon Market ICM. Growth of renewable energy. International Solar Alliance, One World, One Sun, One Grid, OSOWOG, PM Kusum, Green Energy Corridors. Fly ash utilization. Mandatory use of fly ash based products in the scheme of programs in schemes or programs like Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, etc. Lastly, what is the way ahead? First of all, addressing the challenges of integration of renewable energy with the grid. Hybrid of the solar and wind energy. In India, solar and wind sources are complementary to each other. For example, wind is stronger during evening and night, whereas there is a limited supply input from the solar power. So hybridization can reduce the variability and optimize the utilization of land and transmission system. Second is energy storage. Storage will play a critical role in frequency regulation and maintaining the stability and safety of the grid. Next is demand response. Demand side management measures encourage the customers to maximize the use of renewable energy sources while the supply is naturally high. The next is promotion of off-grid renewable energy, as it is much more competitive with conventional power, as it avoids the investment in transmission to remote location. For example, rice husk gasifiers based electricity generation is one such model. Next is cooperative federalism, by ensuring more alignment between the central government and the state on key energy efficiency related activities. Next, encourage private investment and adoption of low water use technologies. So with this, we complete today's topics. We shall return tomorrow with the next topic of the economy section only. So thank you very much and have a very nice day.